All right, we're back live. Episode 37 of the Contractor Compass. We've got a new co-host. Excited to have him. We've been on a hiatus for a while. Guys have been busy. Jason, we don't even know where he's at in the country anymore. He's gone. He's running around with his kids and buying companies and whatever else he's doing. Otherwise, I know Tom's been working on some stuff. I was nice enough to meet and start working with Broc a while back. He's our new co-host, so we'll jump right in just so everybody knows who he is. If you're listening to this, Broc, you want to give us a quick overview, backstory, time in the industry, whatever, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, appreciate you guys having me on here. Myself, kind of funny background. So I run Broc Fletcher, run a limitless HVAC sales training. Background's a little different than a lot of people in HVAC, maybe similar. But myself, I got into HVAC completely by accident. And it's kind of a funny story to that. I was working as a sales manager at a gym and was just capped out with income and was looking for a new opportunity. So I started looking up jobs and I saw a listing for is inside sales for a HVAC company. I didn't even know what HVAC stood for, so that tells you how much
Ballsy start, dude. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know the gym thing. That's
literally sick. Couldn't even tell you. And thank God I didn't bring that up in my interview because that probably wouldn't have gone well. It's like, we're not hiring this guy. But long story short, I went from inside sales and found there was a really big gap. The company I was at, they kind of just started that division. And it was kind of funny because the person in there was making about 40 calls a day. And I was like, all right, I don't know any technical experience. I don't know really much sales tactics or anything. So I just got to work on volume. So I started making 150 calls a day. So that produced, the first year was about 2 million in revenue. So then I was like, okay, well, if I can produce that on the leads that no one else could close in the house, like I got to get in the house.
For sure.
So spent about 8 years selling HVAC. Like a lot of people fell on my face early in the beginning, but I had this really big obsession was maximize every call I go on. Because my big thing is when I would leave a house and I knew I was like 2 sentences away from closing it, it would just keep me up at night. It would drive me crazy.
Yeah.
And knowing someone else could have closed it drove me even crazier. So I ended up investing close to 6 figures on sales training, psychology literature, like anything that would help me. And over that 8-year career, I sold 50 million in residential HVAC at a 60% first visit close rate, all from marketed leads. And I always highlight the marketed leads because
that's a different ball game there.
If those were tech turns, I always say it would have been higher, but who knows? Looking back, who knows?
Oh shit, yeah.
But yeah, now what I do, I install that same system I created into companies. We've worked with 23 companies so far. Average what we see in 60 days is a 14.8% close rate. So it's been fun seeing these guys just capture more revenue than they thought they could.
But yeah, that's massive. Quick question that I never even asked you. And just made me think of it when you were talking about that. Did you sell with the same company the whole time, or did you pop to a few?
Really good question. I was actually at the same company the whole time.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow. So, you rarely see that, especially since we're putting on such volume and usually somebody's snagging you from somewhere.
I definitely got a couple calls to be poached.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Going from, if you don't mind me asking, was it just a loyalty thing, or was it I started calling shitty leads on the phone here, I'm going to finish here? What was the thought process there?
It was, I think more than anything, it was loyalty.
Yeah.
Because, the way I looked at it, they gave me a shot where,
for sure,
maybe someone else would have gave me a shot. Who knows, right? But I also I had it very dialed in, and it was like a limited belief for me of if I go to another company, am I going to be able to produce? So, which is funny, it directly correlated to the sales training because I ended up training someone from a different company and they started doing the same things and they were getting not the same results, but roughly they increased the close rate by 14% as well. So I was like, okay, well, I could have probably gone to any company, but at the end of the day, the owner there, I'm really close with him. And he gave me a shot where I don't know if anyone else would have.
100%. Yeah. Especially when you had no goddamn idea what you were doing.
Yeah. Didn't know what HVAC was.
Did you do any service or work or whatever as just sales, or did you add Freon or clean a drain line or whatever?
Good question too. So I was just strictly sales.
Love it.
So yeah, and it was one of those things where I'm probably not the most technically educated person when it looks to the systems. But again, there's always strong suits and it's bridging that gap. And I know enough technical where I could fix something, right? But when you have the skill set, it doesn't make sense to be fixing things.
Oh, dude, me and you, brother. I'm on the same page. I get it. I
But same thing on you.
100%.
You get in the weeds of stuff like I know I could do this, but I got to
Yeah.
delegate this out. Or
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I mean, we could spend a lot of time. Honestly, we should make that an episode just bullshitting with you on how like the come up through, because that's a lot of volume. And for sure people would be interested to hear that. Also like how people offered you had given you some offers and you didn't take them. Like that's the biggest thing. I mean, we've talked to multiple owners on the podcast and just obviously in day to day, me and Tom talking to people, and it's like you usually find your best sales reps by poaching them, as sad, as terrible as it is. So it'd be interesting. That'd be a separate conversation. But what do you think is the number one thing as we kind of progress the conversation? What do you think is the number one thing you see techs and comfort advisors screwing up on in the home today?
Really good question. And there's many different ways I can go with this because I wish it was one thing, but it's many. I would say like, if I had to summarize it to one thing without sounding very like cliche, it's going to be the mindset. Because
Really?
it's honestly, it's like the prejudging of calls I see. They read the notes and they find a reason not to sell it because they had another experience with similar notes, right? So like, not to go on a story, but what really separated me of like, I think doing so well in the field, I had one time where I was learning the process. I was just trying new things, trial and error. And I was on like a bad streak. I think I went like 2 or 3 days in a row without sales, which might as well have been a year, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the old joke, because you start looking at the rope in the corner of your closet after a couple of days.
Literally, dude.
It becomes tough, you know?
Yeah, mental for sure.
So at that point, I was like, look, I don't care how bad the notes are. Like, I don't care what happens. I'm going to run the exact same process. And I wish I would have recorded this, because in my head, I was thinking about recording it at the time, which I really wish I would have. But so it's one of those customers, right? You get to the door. He says, just to let you know, we're not going to do anything till it breaks. And I was like, all right, just ignored it. And he said, my wife's not here, so we couldn't do it anyways, even if it worked out. Then he said, what was the other one? It was like literally in a book. Like you couldn't have wrote this to be that bad of a customer.
Yeah.
And it was just terrible.
You're like trying to pre-handle objections. He's giving you the objections up front.
Exactly. Oh, then it was, and we're going to get 3 quotes whenever we do it in a year. So it's like, all right, what do I have to lose? And long story short, I didn't let that affect me. And roughly about an hour and a half later, it was a $26,000 sale. So for me, that's where I like linked it all together of like, how many leads did I go on and I bought their objections and I didn't go through the process. And that's a whole nother tangent I won't go on, but it's like objections. I mean, complaints are not objections.
Yeah. 100%.
And you can complain about the price, but that doesn't mean they're not going to do it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. That's a whole different ball of wax for another episode. Tom,
for sure.
Feel free to interrupt me, Tom, but then I got a couple questions for you as well.
People buy payments.
That's right.
Yeah, dude, side note. Okay. If you've watched the podcast before, Tom usually has a sign that says people buy payments. That's his thing. And this is a perfect segue. Tom is the money finance guy. So this is a perfect segue into you, Tom. Obviously, we did like 5 podcasts last year. Like last year was crazy with Jason moving around. We were doing 1 a week for 2024, right? So, Tom, it's been a while. Before I get into us, let's jump to you. What it's been shaking and baking over there in your world? There's some changes.
Well, when we first got together, I was IHCS Finance. And then recently, in early December, we had some shareholder changes and some things like that, and decided to rebrand it to Concierge Express Services, because what we do is we act like a back office finance department for home improvement contractors. And what we call our concierge or white glove is basically the contractor goes out and sells Jane Doe the $12,000 deal. They turn it over to us. We talk with Jane Doe and we say, "Hi, Jane Doe. My name's Tom with Bubba's AC Finance Department, and we understand you need $12,000 for a Rain 3-ton heat pumper, K-pad, and line set. And so we'd like to start by pulling a soft credit pull on you. With your consent, we record all of our calls for quality assurance." She agrees to that. We pull her score. We see where she's at. Is she at 850 down to 750, 655, or whatever? And then we work with the lender stack that we have, and we get her approved. And we call ourselves the turnaround experts, because we have some dealers that already have a Wells or a Synchrony, and then from there they'll use us as the second and third look. So we have the concierge program. We also have a new what we call instant decision application process, code name IDAP. And it's basically a digital waterfall platform where the technician goes to goes into the home, sits at the kitchen table after he sells the job, closes the deal. And she said, how do you want to pay for it? Like financing, puts the application in a digital platform, and then pulls a soft pull, and then finds the lender that would say yes. And so we've got our 2 programs. We also do commercial financing, which a lot of HVAC dealers, especially if they're smaller size, what have you, if they run into a business address, they can't use consumer financing for that. So we have commercial financing that if it's a church or or a laundry or clothing store that the landlord's making the renter pay for that, be responsible for that 5-ton package unit sitting on the roof. We have financing for that too. We also have a company called Capital Concierge that helps businesses find business capital. So like if a HVAC company needs working capital or to buy new trucks or some more equipment or even inventory money, things like that, we offer that as well. So consumer side, commercial side, and the business capital side is what we do. We're at your financial service.
And if you guys, if you're listening to, if you need to sell your house, Tom will do that. He is a licensed realtor. And he also makes a hell of a hamburger. He's got Tom's Hamburger Shop on the end of 4th Ave. No, I'm totally fucking around.
I was like, oh, really?
I was selling that,
I was
right?
believing it ever since.
That's so funny. Dude, Tom, it's funny. We haven't done an intro or like had you say that out loud since you merged everything, because everything was kind of separate before. That's a lot of shit, Tom. Oh my God.
If you could finance it, Tom does it.
Yeah. 100%. If you need business capital or you can finance it, Tom does it.
That's awesome.
Tom, I was going to ask you, is there anything I'm sure there was. I know you said it was like a shareholder changeover and things like that. And I know that was kind of a pain in the ass for you for a while, it seemed like. But is there any other like bonuses to being that you were able to like kind of merge all of these things together?
Well, one of the things that it did do is it gave us some additional lenders. And then also during that kind of transition that we were rebranding, we worked pretty extensively on our CRM application process. So now what we do is that instead of the contractor calling us on the phone and go, hey, call Jane Doe, she lives at 1412 Elm Street, here's her phone number, here's blah, 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 blah. We have a dedicated application link for the technician that's branded with the company logo. He clicks on it. He fills out the first screen is who the technician is, the technician phone number, estimated install date, any notes. The next screen is basically the system details, rain 3-ton, duct for 10,000, duct cleaning for 3,000. They want a total is 12,000. They want to put $3,000 down and finance 9,000. The third screen is the customer's name, address, telephone number, and email address. And then when he hits submit, what that does is that comes into our CRM, and it also pushes via text and email an application process to the customer that is also branded with that dealer's name. And what's really nice about that is that, there's all different types of, the technician sitting at the home, it's an older person. It's like, I'm not feeling comfortable giving,
it keeps the brand, like congruent across the board. Yeah, that makes sense.
But also, from a secure situation, we have a secure FTP service that basically they enter the information on the either text or email, comes into our CRM. They consent to a salt credit pull on that authorization side, pulls a salt credit pull, then we're immediately on the phone with them. Hi, Jane Doe, Tom Murphy from Bubba's AC Finance Department. And we thank you for filling out the application information. We're ready to go. So at that point, we're asking them, if Broc, and both of you understand this, you go to somebody's home and it's like, how's your credit? Well, it's, it's pretty good. Yeah, pretty good.
I have some.
I have some. I've got some.
Yeah.
I've got some. Not a lot left, but I've got some.
Right.
Yeah. So basically that when they talk like that, the guy that says, I'm a 782.
Yeah.
That guy knows what he's talking about, right? The
Yeah.
guy, So at this point, when we get on the phone with them, then we're asking them, okay, Jane, are you the homeowner? Yep. Okay, so you're on the deed? Well, it's grandma's house, but she says when she dies, she's going to give it to me. So yeah, I call it mine.
Yeah.
Can we get grandma as a co-applicant? You can be the main applicant. So what we're doing is, a digital platform can't do that.
No,
drill
correct.
down into like that. So, when we get a tough case, we have some dealers that are using our IDAP program, but then they get a tough case, they send it over to us. We're drilling down. We're looking for every possibility of how we can get that customer approved, because we don't make money until the customer gets approved, the contractor gets installed and gets funded. We make a small fee on the service, on the financed amount. So we're in it to win it with the contractor, and we align. And of course, we're really good at what we do. I couldn't fix an AC for $1 million. Don't know how. Not my job. But in other words, we can dang sure get them financed. And again, they need commercial financing, or we're there to serve. I relate ourselves to kind of like a payroll company. If you're a small company, you got ADP or Paychecks, because they're the expert. They're going to keep you out of trouble, and they know what they're doing.
For sure.
And especially in a technician, if you've got 15 calls to make, and you go to a house and they've got, how's your credit? Pretty good. Okay, you got ship for credit. Then, as it goes down in FICO score, the stipulations go up. I need photo ID, I need pay stub, I need a copy of your deed. The technician's got more calls to make. He needs to turn and burn. So that way, when he hands it off to us, he knows that with confidence that we're going to do everything we can to work that deal. And it's nice is that if we call a customer and we can't get a hold of them, we're reaching back to the technician. Hey, John, you gave us Jane Doe, and we've called her 3 times. We sent her 2 texts. We can't get a hold of her. Please call her and have her call us on our hello line. We have a hello line that rings into our finance department, simultaneously rings. So when we answer, it's finance department, this is Tom. Finance department, this is John. That way, we don't know if it's Bubba's AC or Susie's AC or Betty's AC calling in. And at that point, we, hey, it's a Jane Doe. Oh, you're calling from, yes, Bubba's AC Finance Department. That's who we are. Let's get going. So we're constantly doing everything we can to close more deals. And quite frankly, with the lender lineup now, when you ask about the change in the name, it's brought us some additional lenders, and we're able to do a really good job at getting most everybody customers. If they're open bankruptcy or they don't own the home, there's certain things we can't get done.
Correct.
Because of the situation, but I like to think that we're the experts. We call ourselves the turnaround experts. How's that?
I saw that. I was looking at the new site before I jumped on, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, gosh, Tom, we got to get you more comfortable in front of cameras. You're gonna have to start making content. I don't think Broc, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? You ever see? I never ever see any ads or content from finance companies besides Hearth, which everybody hates.
Right.
Well, matter of fact, to that point, I as you got a pretty good, cool studio set up there, Colton. I've got another office that I've got the placards in the back. I got the camera. I've got the lights coming. I'm gonna be.
It'd be interesting.
I'm gonna be TikTok famous, as my daughter
Yeah,
says.
it'd be interesting to see. Obviously, you couldn't disclose a lot of stuff, but it'd be interesting. Tom, it might be a good idea. Is if you get really hard white glove deals that are hard to get done. You could do recaps, weekly recaps of really hard deals that you got done. That'd be so sick. Vendors and guys would like to see that. Oh, this guy's getting deals done that other people can't, and that might bring you some more people as well. And I can honestly tell you, Broc, this is I'll bet you $100 on the side. This is the most word count you'll ever get out of Tom.
There we go.
On this podcast for the next 7 episodes. That was Tom. That was phenomenal.
It's great.
You get him talking about finance, he just rips. Otherwise, he's one of the quieter guys. Sweet.
I'm not bashful, Colton. I'm not bashful.
I know. I'm friends with Tom on Facebook, and I know for a fact that he's super professional, old school. When we first got on podcasts, he's like, well, can I talk about what we do? Hell yeah, Tom. It's your podcast, dude. Of course you can. And but I was thinking of him, yeah, dude, he's getting a little bit more comfortable. This is good. And I always tell him, I'm like, Tom, you got to interrupt me, dude. You got to tell me to shut up.
Well, I try to be polite and not jump in, but I'm realizing now that I have to do that with you because you'll ramble on.
I'm always ready.
I'm trying to get a word in edgewise, Broc. So I'm just take
You're
it.
So
I'm
right.
taking notes right now.
You got to jump in, bro. You got to jump in.
Yes, you do. You're so right. Awesome. And I was thinking something that I thought was kind of cool, guys, too, is the way we structure this moving forward. And for everybody listening, obviously, we'll bring operators on, right, as guests, as we've done in the past. And Broc, you can bring guys on, and so can Tom, so can I. But it's kind of cool. So we have like our 3 buckets, right? So you obviously with the sales training process, et cetera, Tom, the money man, finance, et cetera, and then us on the marketing side. In terms of like recap for us, I'm not going to spend too much. I mean, we have had quite a bit of changes since we've last been live on the podcast, but I mean, just more team build out on our end. Brock, you know this, you're up to date, but we brought in some really awesome leaders into the team, which I've never experienced before, which is amazing. And on the paid ad side, like on the media buying side, and also we brought in like our head of appointment setting operations, because we have a call center, right? So that's a totally separate business to run. So it's kind of amazing. We're actually at like 1.76 seconds across the board on speed to lead. It's ridiculous, which is there's a couple people we've talked to, like even in the solar space, and that's like unheard of, that speed to lead. So we've made some changes on our end, some finance stuff in terms of like being able to pull stuff, financial indicators on people before they come in for appointments or when they get booked as appointments, things like that. But I won't spend too much time there. What I wanted to get into, and I think this will roll into, like I said, in the future episodes, because we kind of have these separate buckets, right? Like, Rocky, you can speak to sales a lot, which is super nice because I can speak to sales as well, but not in the home with HVAC systems, right? And we'll get into other home service spaces as well, and we might even bring on some guests in other spaces. But I think it's good that we can kind of bucket that out and focus on, just different aspects of the business and kind of speak to the strength of where everybody, can kind of chime in. So with that being said, what do you guys think in like right now with just the way that I don't want to say the economy is moving. I don't know if you guys saw that in April, there's a bunch of people freaking out about like the most negative financial indicators in the last however many years. I just thought about this before jumping on this podcast. We actually have a partner who does a ton of volume out of Florida. He's seen a huge dip. And I will say he does like he finances everything. He does like a lot of lower tier stuff. It's a ton of volume, not a ton of profit, but we've seen his sales, drop substantially. So what do you guys think is what's the future of the industry look like? How is that going to change with, where the country is, where the economy is? Like, what are you guys' thoughts?
I'll jump in on that. I've noticed a change as well. And it's one of those things too. You got to control what you can control. But the difference, what I've been seeing of a lot of companies is acquiring a customer, whether it's from a replacement aspect, whether it's from a tune-up, maintenance, just getting that customer and holding on to them and transitioning that to a sale, right? Because I think when the economy's booming, it's like people want to replace the units, they go and find people to replace, and that's it. But people are they don't know the value of replacing a unit until someone explains it to them.
Correct.
So I think that process of taking someone to a diagnostic or a tune-up or maintenance and educating them of, hey, if you invest $2,000 in a repair, you're still going to have to replace it, So I think the model as far as acquiring a customer, I could be completely wrong on this and the economy could change tomorrow. That's what we hope for.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's a little bit slower to gain that customer.
Yeah.
But once you gain them on like the sales side, I find it's very similar as long as the guys don't get in their head and blame the 3 leads prior because they didn't close because they got complained about economy.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that a little bit though, for sure.
Do you think how it's one thing that I really struggle with that point, because I so agree. So something we've been pushing a lot, and I didn't push it for a while because frankly, it was a bitch to set the different style of appointments. So I didn't want to say we could if we couldn't. But recently with some partners, we've been setting, diagnostic calls, tune-up calls, et cetera. But only we have to talk to them and their sales team, and do they have a good process? And can you actually what can you do successful tech turns? But my question would be, I really struggle getting these guys to look at LTV of a customer versus that first time acquisition. Obviously, yeah, we're going in there for a tech turn or we're going in there for whatever, higher ticket. It doesn't always happen. And then they're looking at cost per acquisition for the customer and what they're getting out of the customer, but they're not looking at lifetime value, and they're looking at dollars in the bank now versus dollars out. How often do you find business owners, especially our main avatar is, 1 to 5 million, 1 to 7 million. Don't get me wrong. I love the 10 million pluses. They come in and they know ball. We're spending money, we're ripping appointments, great. But how often do you see business owners actually able to look at that as a real number that they're measuring, and instead of just like, oh, we got fucked on this guy because he bought a $70 tune-up and we didn't sell anything else, and we acquired the appointment for $120.
I think that's the big thing to get them out of it. Because to your point, like you've seen this firsthand, 1 to 3 million is very tough to get out of.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing typically, it's going to be obviously a mix of marketing and sales is everything. So once they realize like, hey, if I can acquire a customer, I can get them as a member, that guy's going to replace the unit regardless. And what I've seen really successful, and this is kind of on subject but slightly off, I've had a lot of companies implement, I call it an escrow account for their memberships. I don't know if you ever heard of that before.
I haven't. Explained.
So basically, let's say it's a member and they pay easy number, $20 a month, right? So, and they've been a member for 3 years. Just for simple math, let's say that's $600 they paid in membership. So an easy way to kind of get that conversation of replacement is the technician would bring up, hey, did the office tell you about the escrow account you have already? I'm like, no, of course not, because why would they know? Then, so yeah, you actually have every month when you pay for your membership, we put that in an account that goes towards a new replacement. So now they have a $600 credit towards replacement, and they don't know what it costs yet. But why I found that works so well, it's two-sided. One is you get to have the conversation of replacement in general. But number two is, it's actually a personal story why I kind of came up with that and design it myself. I heard it before and adopted it. But I had a customer one time, it's kind of a funny story. We were, let's say, simple numbers. We were 15 grand, let's call it. And the other company was 17 grand, but they were giving him $1,000 credit because he repaired. So do the math. That one's 16, we're 15. And the guy was like, well, I don't want to go with you guys because I don't want to lose my $1,000. I was like, well, what do you mean?
What?
It's $1,000. Yeah, it's $1,000 cheaper with us. He's like, well, but that $1,000 is going to go away. So it's actually going to cost me the same at 16. I was like, that's not how math works. It's like,
incredible.
Make no logical sense, but in his head, he paid that. He would lose out that money.
Correct.
It'd be a waste.
Yeah. It was a mental thing.
The mental thing. So obviously that guy maybe was an extreme example of that. But if they have an account with a credit on it, maybe they don't get as many estimates because they don't want to lose that either.
Yeah.
So it's a really weird psychology how it works. But I think that's something that really helps companies at least have the conversation, because technicians, especially on maintenance, as they go through that maintenance or a tune-up of $79, and you're going to lose money on that. It's a loss leader, but you have to generate something.
Correct.
As long as it benefits the customer, obviously, but it's a whole other thing.
No, dude, that's a golden nugget. You know what I was just thinking, guys? You guys ever seen the Dropping Bombs podcast with Brad Lee?
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna have to download a freaking a sound effect for Dropping Bombs. But Riverside gives us some, and I think that was. We're not gonna copy Dropping Bombs. I don't know what ours is gonna be called, but I'm giving you a cheer right here.
I'll take it. Dropping tears.
Hold on, it's a long cheer. It's a very long cheer. Bear with me. We're still cheering. All right, we're over it. No, that's actually, I've never heard of that. We have to somehow work that in to tell people that. That's killer. And it makes sense too. I mean, it doesn't make sense what that guy was saying, but it makes, like, oh, I've already paid, right? Like it's money that I'm like, well, maybe I'm getting a better system or whatever the financial block might be.
It's fear of loss, yeah.
100%. With the right in that, let's take that 1 to 5 million or 1 to 3. Let's say we have a company at 2 mil. This is for all of us. What lever do you feel that company should fix first that would create the biggest revenue jump? Go ahead, Tom.
People buy payments, and the biggest thing is when you've got a small dealer, the small, dealer, we call dealers, contractors, typically are not going to have a full spectrum. They're going to have like a prime. They're going to have, one of their prime lenders that'll buy down to 640. And as you talk about the economy and things like that, these prime lenders are moving their FICO floor up. So where like, maybe Wells Fargo used to be into the 630s, maybe there's, they got to have a pretty clean 660 or what have you. But again, you're leaving that, which leaves room there. So having a full lineup of where you can handle great credit, medium credit, and not so great credit is you want to close every deal, because when you go to the house and you have the acquisition cost, you roll the truck out there, you're sitting at the kitchen table, and then you can't get the guy approved, you lost some pretty nice money.
Yeah, 100%. And then like even rolling into like Broc's role, if you can't get them financed, you can't sell them, right? mean, you just can't. And then, obviously with if we're looking at it, the levers that we can pull, obviously just getting the leads in the door, but I'm step one on that. Like you guys in the next couple, like that, we still need to be able to finance it. We still need to be able to sell. We actually had it pisses me off still. And I told Brock about this company. We had a company that we were working with. We worked with them for 6 months. And there's different styles of companies that we work with. And like what I mean by like the kind of cues that we get from them. Like some people show up to biweeklies and they're absolutely just dialed on what's going on. And that's where we want people, right? That's good. That's really good. There's also people that we've in the past let slide with like limited communication because we're like, good. If we're not hearing from you, like that's a good thing for us, right?
No news is good news.
Yeah, exactly. But now it's not the same because we handle so much because we need disposition data. So we've actually I shouldn't say I haven't done a damn thing. The team's smarter than I am, but they've been building out a gnarly disposition process to feedback data into the platforms. And now we're actually having Austin, our head of appointment operations, jump on biweeklies with partners that aren't dispoing calls to get that data. Anyway, this client was 6 months. Month 3, they stopped showing up to calls, but their metrics were like on our side were insane. Like we see on average like a $250 cost per appointment, and anywhere from $40 to $90, $110 cost per lead, depending on the market. And obviously that's install upfront. And then their CPL was like $42 and their cost per appointment was like 120 or something. So I mean, like on our time, we're just ripping. Oh, yeah. And they were spending relatively a small amount in ad spend. And in 6 months, we booked 80 estimates. Fast forward, roll into month 7, and we were kind of confused because it's owned by a guy named Kevin. And then his father is also named Kevin. And he started the company like 40 something years ago or whatever. And we find out that X amount of percentage of these leads are out of their service area. Now, pause. They had a 75-mile radius for their service area when we started with them. It's on the onboarding form. It's what they put in there. And they're like, no, it's 35 miles. So I had like speak with the real owner, not the son, Kevin. And I'm like, dude, here's your form. Like, this is what we've been doing. So they ran like 20% of those. They declined the rest. And it was just a shit show. Like, it was like, okay, like I can't do anything else. Like you haven't been to a meeting in 4 months, dude. Like the account manager sits on the biweekly waiting for you. So, I mean, to that point, like we need the communication. Leads is the first step, but it's not the only, like you need the other things in place to be able to finish the job. I mean, we've re-tiered our programs to where we're disqualifying for our main program more than we ever have. Cause I'm just like, I'm sick of the bullshit, right? Like we need people, we have a company that just started like 23 days ago or something. And Austin, once again, our head of appointment operations, he is like, he's in love with them. He's like, this is a poster child. They still have like 23 appointments that haven't been dispositioned, which they're getting on. They're actively doing it. But they've reported everything and they are crushing, right? They're at like 850% or something right now. Which is phenomenal. Everybody says they want a 6X or whatever. And I tell them, get ready for like a 4. Like 4 would be great. But we just struggle to get that communication with everybody to finish the cycle. So I think that it's kind of a tough question to answer because you need like a lot of little pieces in. I don't think there's one solution, I guess is my point.
It comes down to them like wanting it too. It's like you had that guy. I think you said a 35-mile perimeter, but you're giving them 75. So you're telling me if you would have drove, I don't know where they're at, but let's say another 30 minutes to 45 minutes.
Dude.
Like that's just, you don't want it at that point. You're trying not to close because you're lazy and you're either prejudging or whatever it is. It's like
100%.
Why do you own the company?
100%.
Probably because it's handed down to them, but
yeah, 100%. And then, yeah, dude, 100%. And then, I was talking to the older guy, right, the one that started it, and he's like, well, and I can't talk up badly about this guy at all. He was wonderful. I had a great conversation with him. He's such a nice dude. I could tell there's a reason he's still privately owned and still in business and crushes. Great guy. He was talking to me. I'm like, dude, your cost per lead and everything rocks on our end. So like, I mean, it looks great, but we weren't getting any feedback. I'm like, our end looks awesome. He's like, well, if you, because you're targeting 75 miles, like that's why your CPL is so good, because I'm like, are you shit? This guy's 77 years old. I'm like, brother, I don't need to be told how cost per lead works, right? Like just excuses in terms of like, oh, that was good, that good, because they weren't the right leads and they weren't the right area or whatever.
Right? Not to cut you off, but if you're getting it that much cheaper in that market that they're not capturing, that's a perfect opportunity to expand in that market because no one else has. Like, what is going on?
Yeah, 100%. You can't win them all, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess. Where do you guys think right now in today's day and age, where do you think guys are wasting the most of their money? Is it like bad marketing? Is it untrained sales teams? Is it no finance strategy? Like, where do you think they're dumping the most money and losing it?
Yes. Good point.
What is it, Tom? Tell me.
Everything you just said. I mean, it's training the sales techs and hiring the sales techs that are not polished enough to go into maybe a high end neighborhood or whatever. They're not polished enough to close the sale. They need better sales training. They don't have all the tools. The market, again, I say yes, meaning those you just named off. It's a combination, and some of the three are more prevalent in one and less in the other, or whatever. So I truly think it's a combination of all three. It just depends on. Some are a little better in other areas than not, but
yeah.
I mean, it really is the trifecta though, because if you take one piece out of it, you take the marketing out, they don't have sales.
Yeah.
You take the sales out, doesn't matter. And then if you don't have finance, then you can't get customers. So
100%.
It's funny how correlated it is.
I think, and is something I think is worth mentioning too, is we kind of have a love-hate relationship with companies that have been around for a long time. Because they get so much referral and word of mouth. And they still like if somebody tells me their numbers, 9 times out of 10, like I can tell you what they're spending or roughly, right? And then when they flip it on me and they're like, no, I'm not, I'm spending this much. I'm like, okay, you've been in business over 20 years. Well, yeah, I have. So it's kind of like they're getting ready to exit or either like retire or hand it down to kids or whatever. So they don't see the need. They don't want to push the envelope. I mean, that's a perfect example with this gentleman we were just talking about. Like he's an older guy, yeah, I don't want to drive that far. This is my market. Like this is where I live. This is where my referrals are. Like I just didn't think he wanted to push the envelope, and why the son, wasn't involved with us anyways. Obviously he's involved with the company, but not with us. He just didn't communicate. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting deal.
That's what excites me though about like a lot of the companies though, because at the end of the day, I say this a lot, but the competition is just weak. They're either lazy or they don't want to learn more or spend more or whatever. It's like when you talk about like referral cost per basis of a lead, it's going to be lower, but diminishing results are still results.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, if you spend double, but you're still profitable, if I give you $1 and you give me 2 back, I'll take it as many times as I can. If you give me 3, I'll try to give you more, but it's going to cap out,
100%. I think that's one thing. I mean, once again, that we struggle with too is when talking to guys is like everybody wants 600%, right? And it's like, dude, like, do you like? We just actually we didn't turn them away, but we were just really fucking honest with them. We had an insulation contractor that we worked with, franchise guy is a badass. I love him. He's a great dude. But he's like, yeah, I'd like to work with you guys again. This is what we're looking for on this type of spend. And I'm like, brother, it's not like, I don't expect it. I'm like, it's not there. Like not consistently with the amount of spend that you want to do. And granted, he wasn't doing HVAC installs. He was doing, like blow in, which is really low ticket. Granted they have, 100%. And they have ways to like upsell, like they're like certified in pest control and other things where they can charge more. They can get their blow-in average ticket to like $7,000 if people buy everything. But yeah, it was just like one of those things like, dude, your expectations are so unrealistic. Like I can't meet them, and it's not worth you wasting your time or us wasting our time. The last thing I want to talk about before we jump off, or this runs too long for the first one, then we can get into a lot of stuff moving forward. But what do you guys think? We've talked about this for years now, but what do you guys think that private equity roll-ups are doing correctly, that independent shops are not?
I can speak to that. I'm happen to be working with one. But biggest thing is when you talk to a guy that's been in the business 20 years. God damn it, it's worked this way for 22 years. I don't need your, their fancy Colton. Bottom line is that they come in, they put a real CFO, they put a real marketing person, or they hire a real marketing company. They it's a business, and they get their SHIT together, and it makes a difference. When you're old school and you're used to doing it this way for 20 damn years, you know, you got a fresh look. They're business people. They're coming in and they know how to take they know how to turn those things around and wring every dollar out of that deal. And they got KPIs, and they set them up and they work the hell out of them.
Yeah, systems.
That's funny you say that, because I was going to say standardization.
Yeah.
They don't just leave it to one guy, good luck, and this guy does really good because he has these tactics and this guy doesn't. It's not that you want anyone doing less than anyone else, but I would rather have everyone doing the same thing so you can coach on it to improve.
Yeah.
But if everyone's different, it's like everyone's almost has a different, they're almost work for like a different company almost, because it's 100%. So different in each appointment. But if you could standardize it, then you could scale it. But yeah. That's explained perfect.
Yeah, 100%. I'd be interested because we've worked with some of the larger ones, but like they're so large, like Apex and stuff that I don't really like. We talk to the individual companies. I'd be curious to talk to some of the the individuals that are really in there making the systems and the calls, because they have a blueprint, they roll it out. If it doesn't match what they're doing, it's out of the game plan, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Yeah, I don't know. It's they're nice to work with for that aspect, that at least shit is getting done right, and it's systematized and it's repeatable, and they can. It'd be interesting to talk to somebody. Like I was just looking at Victor Rancor. He's holding some sort of like event soon or something like that, right? And he has like 11 companies now. I like that guy. It'd be interesting to get him on the podcast someday. And I've never even like talked to him personally. I've just DM'd him over Instagram a couple times.
I know him. I'd love to see if you're if that's something you want to do, I can work on that.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. Because
I hate to run, but
you're good. Yeah, get out of here, Tom. It's all good. Till the next one. Yep.
Well.
See you on 38, Tom. See you, buddy. Yeah, it'd be interesting to get him on. Because I think he's kind of he's in line with, I would say, me and you, in terms of like, he's a sales guys first. I think it was Absolute Airflow or whatever that he initially scaled first. And I've seen some big numbers said about that company. I think it was like 35 million or something they scaled to. And then he started the Profit Rocket Group and started grabbing other companies. But let me tell you, like, I almost want to call, I'm not going to, but like when you see his numbers from month to month, when he gets in a brand new company and like 3 months later, we're doing 80K a month, and 3 months later, they're doing $500,000. I'm like, what the fuck happened?
What's going on? Yeah.
Like, that's insane. So when we talk about like what levers can you pull, that's a guy that is pulling some serious levers. And I don't know what they are, but he's got a time. But his whole thing is systems, right? It comes in, he rebrands the company. Like, it's everything from top to bottom. It's training, it's sales. He rebrands it. What's that guy in the space? Dan, is it like Anatoly or something that does all the truck wraps?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And his designs are just like badass. I think he works with him. I think. But yeah, he just does a damn good job. When I talk about pulling levers and boosting revenue, like I'd be interested to know like how he picks his markets, how he identifies what companies are actually coachable and he can work with versus which ones he can't. I mean, it's impressive.
I would want to know too, like what percentage of the staff stays on board?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think that's a huge problem with a lot of the smaller guys that's been doing it for a long time, is they have a lot of loyalty to their employees, which is good. But when they're not great employees, that affects the whole business. Like not only from that person's performance, but they know if this guy's doing bad, I'm not going to look that bad if I do average.
100%.
I think that's a really big piece of these guys. They're so afraid to fire.
Yep. Yeah, no, 100%. I agree.
Yeah.
Cool. Brock, you can stay in the room here. We'll wrap this up.
Yeah.
Guys that are listening, this is our re-entry into the podcast world. So 38 will be next. Who the hell knows what our topic's going to be? We're going to continue to get some guests on. Just kind of covering the 3 buckets today on like what we can speak to. And it'll be nice to get some operators in and dive in on what they're doing and levers that they're pulling. And it'd be like, for example, we had Tom was nice enough to get like Mike Lang on, his Air on the Clock, 40 something million a year, pushing out a lot of volume. He had a lot of little nuggets that he was able to drop. So I think in the future, we'll continue to push some more of those and get some more guests on. So don't be afraid to bring people up there too, Brock, and we'll chat on the side and we'll get them in here. But anyways, this one's running long. So on the next one, we'll catch you on episode 38. Until then, peace, love, and unity, people.